everybody, Contrast here from Reverse Negative, and I am here with you for a new review, a video game review, a review of Batman Arkham City. Now, Batman Arkham City, first of all, I'm going to start this review by saying it was an amazing game, and I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. And I highly recommend it, and if you don't have it, go out and get it, because it's an amazing game. Now, if you blindly follow my judgment, and you just follow that, then turn off this review right now and go out and get the game. If you want to hear my reasoning and see why, excuse me, why I gave it this review, then continue on and watch the rest. Now, Batman Arkham City, I'll say it this right now, it's Arkham Asylum with everything else added into it. Now, the gameplay was amazing, and the story was even better. Now, I can't really make this a spoiler-free review, so I haven't spoiled anything yet for you, obviously, unless the rating was a huge spoiler for you. So, saying right now, the rest of this review is going to be a spoiler, so if you don't want me to spoil the game, turn it off now. If you want me to spoil the game and you don't care, or maybe you're just one of those people like me who, after they buy the game and they've played the game and beat it and everything, they love it so much that they go online and watch the reviews anyways. Then, if you're one of those people, keep watching or don't. I don't care. Just whatever. But onwards. Now, the ending, I'm just gonna say it right now, was amazing. Joker died. Joker died. Ra's al Ghul died. Talia died. Hugo Strange died. Basically, all the main characters died except Batman. And I guess Harley Quinn was kind of a main character. I don't know. You know, so, the story was very, very compelling. Right when you start, you're starting as Bruce Wayne. Now, how cool is that? To be Batman as Bruce Wayne. Now, it's confusing, but the thing is, out of every single superhero out there, Batman is probably one superhero out of the whole utopian, amazing universe of superheroes that, you know what, you really don't care about his identity. In Spider-Man, you can maybe be Peter Parker delivering pizzas or getting pictures or whatever. But in Batman, when you're Bruce Wayne, there's nothing really for you to do because you have millions of dollars and you don't really have a job. And, to be honest, Batman doesn't really have that much of a social life outside of being Batman. So, starts you right off going and getting arrested and being pulled into Arkham City. And you're Batman, or Bruce Wayne, but then you become Batman later. And you're fighting as Bruce Wayne. How cool is that? That's awesome. Everything about it is really cool. You can double counter, triple counter. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go on to the story. Now, the story was amazing. It was breathtaking. I can't describe how amazing the story is. For most games, the story is mediocre at best. But there are those few games where the story is just breakthrough amazing. Assassin's Creed is probably is one really good example of this. Can't think of any others off the top of my head. But it's just one of those games where, you know what, it couldn't really work. It could maybe work as a book. There's too much information for a movie, and just gets the spot right away as a game. It's just one of those little miracles. And one of the greatest things about Arkham City is, like its predecessor, it's the greatest comic book game of all time. But let me tell you this. Not only is it the greatest Batman game of all time, not only is it the greatest comic book game of all time, but it's one of the greatest games in general of all time. I'm saying that. Greatest game in general of all time. Not the, but one of. Way up there. Like, there's so many games that are going to look at this and say, what can we take from that? Like, what can we influence? What influence have we had from this game? Like, for instance, I remember seeing an interview for Prototype 2 where the developer Ken Rossman actually said that he's taken a lot of hints and headway from different games, and one of the main ones he said being Arkham Asylum. Because it's such an influential game. Now, the story, you know what? Let's just say this. Comic book stories haven't been the greatest. I mean, there's a lot of good ones. Most of the comics I have are good ones, but I get them because they're good. Here they're good, so I get them. But not many of them are this, like, really good. Like, the whole idea, there's basically two stories going on at the same time. There's one is Hugo Strange and the whole Arkham City thing. And then there's the Joker and the Cure. And they're both happening at the same time. So while you're playing through story, you're switching between those over and over, like, frequently, until they keep getting closer and closer to converging near the end, where it's a huge climax of two stories hitting at the same time. It's amazing. And the game even has basically two climaxes. It basically has the one climax, where it's the discovery of Ra's al Ghul, or as the game's calling him, Ra's al Ghul, but Ra's al Ghul being behind the whole Hugo Strange thing and everything, and then you feel like the game's over. Then you're reminded, oh yeah, I need to finish up business with Joker. So you go back, and Joker dies, and Talia dies, and all them die, and there's a big climax there. But one of the amazing things that I found is the fact that they managed to hit a climax without needing a humongous over-the-top boss battle at the end. It was really good. And you can really tell a lot from Batman's silence in the final cutscene when he's carrying Joker's body through Arkham City. And then he goes out, and Jim Gordon even asks him, hey, what happened in there? And he just completely ignores him, puts Joker's body on a cop cart, then keeps walking. He doesn't say anything. His silence was very emotional. And even though the fact that, hey, it's Joker, it's the greatest murderer of all time. It's an emotional scene. But on to the gameplay, which was amazing. As I said, you can counterattack, but you know what? Two people attack you, you can counter both of them. 3 people attack you, no problem. Counter all 3 of them. Heck, go for it. But now there's more. Let's go first to the combat sections. There's more things. In the original game, there was guys with tasers trying to tase you, and there was guys with knives. But now there's guys with shields. And the guys with the knives, you can hit them, but the thing is, you can dodge their attacks at the same time, which is cool. And there's dudes with body armor, so you have to stun them, then you have to use a beatdown attack. Which a beatdown attack is basically, instead of just hitting them normally, it's just a huge boxing thing where you just keep hitting him, and you're basically just really beating this guy down as fast as you can. It does a lot of damage. You can really rack up a combo with that, which was amazing. And the Predator now, the guys are smarter. Say you're in a gargoyle, sometimes they'll occasionally look up at the gargoyle anyways, and then at some points they even end up shooting down gargoyles. The guys are smarter now. They have things that can scan the dark. They have radio jammers, so you can't really use detective mode. It's really good. But one thing I'm gonna say that took away from the story, I'm not gonna bring this game down for it because I don't want it. I don't feel it should. But one thing I'm gonna say is Catwoman. Catwoman took away from the story. I think I would have really, really enjoyed Catwoman if she wasn't intertwined with Batman's story. Now, basically, when Catwoman, as I've said before, is a DLC and everything, but the thing is, you'll play as Batman, then you'll stop, and you'll go to Catwoman. But the thing is, it'll switch you at the absolute time you don't want to be Catwoman. For instance, there's a huge climax in the story, and Batman, you think he's gonna die or something, and then right in that scene, it stops, and goes to Catwoman doing some random thing somewhere else that I don't really care about at that time. Don't get me wrong, if I was playing through the whole story, and the whole thing was just a Catwoman story, I would have minded, I would have liked it. The thing is, I was so focused on this huge climax that's happening in Batman's story, and then it just goes away and shows Catwoman. I don't want Catwoman, I want to see Batman, I want to see what happened. Don't give me Catwoman. The last thing I want. I would have liked it if I could play through the whole story as Batman, and then, you know what, you just play through Catwoman's story at the end, you know, afterwards, and then it would be really interesting over the top, because the fact that, hey, now you saw Batman's story, and it's parallel to Batman's story, so you can see that once you beat Batman's story, you can go through as Catwoman, and you're like, oh, I remember doing that as Batman. I remember this mission, or whatever. That would have been cool. And I think they should have had, I'm going to say this too, this is a DLC, but I got Robin with it, and Robin didn't tie into the story at all. Well, he did a bit, popped in once to save Batman, and Batman says, hey, I don't need to save him. Okay, he leaves. And then there was the thing where he goes to the hospital and he's helping the hospitals out. He basically calls Batman and say, "Hey, I'm helping everybody. I'm doing a good job." Batman's like, "Okay, great, thanks, bye." And that's about it on the radio. I would have liked it if Robin had his own like separate story as well as Catwoman, so that, you know what, like the one mission could have been him finding that ninja and beating Batman, beating the ninja off of Batman. It could have been one mission, and another mission could have been him going to all the different hospitals and helping out. That would have been a good side mission, and it would tie into Batman's story when he calls the radio. It would just work. And Nightwing's a DLC too. He's coming out. I'm gonna say this: Catwoman brought it down for me in that sense, but that had Robin, it brought me back up. And I'm not saying if you're getting this game, get Robin with it, or you're gonna hate it because of Catwoman. You will like it. You will love it. It will be an amazing game. And the thing is, Robin's even better. And I think when Arkham City came out, Arkham Asylum and the Dark Knight movie basically sought to redeem Batman from Joel Schumacher and Adam West Batman and all that stuff. And Arkham City basically said, what's left that hasn't been redeemed in Batman mythology? So they took Robin, turned him into a badass, got every little obscure character and made him awesome. And they throw Catwoman as like, and Nightwing they didn't really need to redeem, because if anyone's heard of if anyone's heard of Nightwing, then they know Nightwing is awesome. Unless you're keeping up with current Robin mythology in the comics, then you really don't care about Robin. You think he's a joke. But that's about it. Yeah, I don't know how to break and freeze there. That's about it. I'm giving this game 10 out of 10. The gameplay is amazing. Oh, and one thing I want to say before I get to the ending climax of this review is the graphics are spectacular. Like when I first played through it, I didn't really focus on the graphics, but when I went back later, I remembered, hey, this is new Unreal Engine technology. And I noticed graphics were spectacular. Not only the details on Batman, but if you see a puddle on the floor, you can see the kind of refracted reflection of a light. Like say there's a big like glowing sign or something on top of a building, you can see the glowing light sign reflected on the puddle on the floor, but realistic. It's just the details are amazing on the graphics. The rendering engine was amazing. That's Unreal, of course. But you know what? I always say I do not rank games down because of bad graphics, and I don't pull them up because of good graphics. But I just felt that, you know what, that's something that's notable in this game that I wanted to mention, because the graphics are really, really good. Now to the game, I would give it 10 out of 10. It was an amazing game. The gameplay was amazing. The graphics were amazing, and the story was amazing. I highly recommend picking this up. This has been Reverse Negative, and I'll see you guys next time.